Most men have no concept of what they want in their relationships. What ends up happening is they get with a woman that's by default. And he says to himself, well, I can make this work. And so what he ends up doing is settling with what I call the 80% girl. The woman who is like, she's most of what he wants, but there's usually some glaring weaknesses. There's usually some sort of incompatibility that's irreconcilable to actually having a long-term relationship with him. So in this video, we're going to look specifically into the frames that you should be looking for when you're trying to select a woman in your life. And actually, if you measure the woman you're with, this is going to tell you quite a bit, because you cannot create what you do not intentionally visualize. And so if you're not visualizing exactly what you want, you're going to get whatever is by default. For most guys, they get into this place where they've married a woman, they've dated her for a couple of years, and they get stuck. And now you've got a wife, you've got kids, you got a mortgage, and you don't know how to turn things around. Well, the cool thing is that you probably can turn these things around, but you have to know how to point the ship. What's your target? Where are you going towards? And so we're going to get into this deep into this video. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss any of these points, so make sure you watch the whole thing. My name is Baxter, and I help guys in betrayal situations. The process of being with a woman for 50 years or a woman that you're dating is pretty much the same. For us, it's just science. Because we know the patterns, we know the solutions. It's not that complicated. You have to make a commitment for yourself. That's what it means to be in Soul Seducer program. That's what it means to work with me directly. So that you can learn to handle your emotions, so you can learn to see right into a woman's soul and seduce her from within, to create this garden that she can actually thrive in. We'll get you to that place where you make the right decision for you and your chick. You see, it's not just sex or respect. Most guys have a deep-seated need for appreciation, devotion, and attraction. And so there's 4 frames. Really just 4 things that I find that most men are really looking for outside of just, is she good looking? So we're not going to go into the frame of, is she good looking? I'm going to assume you've got that part handled. I'm going to assume that you're already in a relationship. I'm going to assume that you're already married. And really, you just want these 4 things from your woman. And we're going to get into these by explaining what you don't want first. Most guys know a lot more of what they don't want. So whenever I get on a call with a guy who wants to join Soul Seducer, or maybe in one of my coaching calls, I ask the guy, well, what's going on in your situation? He usually describes 4 different situations. And they usually have all 4. But the thing that he doesn't know is, okay, well, what is it that you want? He's like, man, I don't know what I want. I can't even think through next week. My wife's cheating on me. I'm just trying to get through the next day. I'm just trying to go day by day. And this is how the guy's been living his entire life. He's completely overwhelmed. He completely does not feel appreciated. And he's just going through the motions, hoping for this better future. And so this whole life of today, this game of today, it just sucks. He's just hoping that a better future will come. And because he's sacrificing himself for today, for the people around him, that if he died today, he would end up realizing that he lived a life of sacrifice and that he didn't really get anything that he wanted. Are you in this place right now? Where you're looking at your life and every day is a slog, every day is harder and harder than the last one, and it never seems to get better because you're fighting for this better future? We have to turn this around right now. So the first thing that a guy feels is he feels exploited. Do you feel exploited in your relationship? You put in the work, you perform for your wife, but it does not seem to be noticed. You give more and more to the family. You give up your identity. You give up everything you can for this family because you love these people. And maybe your wife even leans on this even more, saying, like, if you did more, if you were a different kind of guy, if you heard me more, if you put us on more vacations, you spent more time with me, if you were more present with me, I would be able to love you more. If you had a 6-pack, I'd want to have sex with you more. And you're like, I'm doing everything I can for this family, and really, I just want one thing, which is appreciation. So the opposite of exploited is appreciation. When was the last time as a man in your marriage you felt appreciated? Men are in this desert of appreciation. It just never happens. We're expected to perform. We're expected to pay all this money for things. We're expected to work. And if we don't get what we want, it just means we have to work harder. And there's nobody going to save us. Nobody's going to care. And the only thing that is valuable is what we can provide. And so in your relationship, you feel exploited because you provide as much as you can, but it's never appreciated. And the problem with this is because there's a separation between what you can provide and how you are as a man. Your value is completely tied to just what you can provide. And so even though you do all these things for this person, even if you're the best husband ever, even if you are a textbook case, the best guy in the world, you're Jesus freaking Christ, on the other side of this, nobody cares about you underneath all the performance. And so the guy gets in this world thinking that he just isn't valuable as a person. The only thing that people care is what he can provide. And eventually he feels exploited. And eventually he feels like nobody really cares about the guy inside, the guy who's working hard. Nobody tries to see it from his point of view. Nobody tries to see that man inside who's just doing his best to keep his family together. And so this guy who is exploited, what he truly wants is just to be appreciated by his woman. The second thing that most men are dealing with is some level of simping. If you don't know what this term means, what it means is a guy who's chasing after the affections of a woman. She's amazing. Let me put her on a pedestal. She's so awesome. What can I do to make her like me? What can I do to get her to notice me? What can I do to make her want to sleep with me? And this whole thing leverages off the first thing of being exploited, where I'm going to do more to try to get more from her. And it's always this game of having to chase after her. I want more affection. I wish she would touch me more. I wish she would talk to me more. I wish she'd want to play more. I wish she'd want to have sex more. And so the guy is always chasing after her for affection. And he falls into this myth of, I need to chase a woman so that she'll like me. The guy comes into Soul Seducer. I'll tell him like, hey, let's slow this down. You don't need to chase her so much. Maybe just stand still for a minute, see what happens. He's like, she'll forget about me. If I don't keep trying, she's not going to remember me. She's not going to want to be with me. I have to keep her spun up. I have to keep this momentum going. And so they fundamentally don't understand how women work. That less is more. That space increases attraction. And so he ends up all over her all the time, trying to get her. He simps after his wife. And you do this over and over again, and does that make you feel more powerful? Does that make you feel weaker? Does it make you feel more desired, more loved, more appreciated, or does this make it feel like you're just begging for table scraps of affection all the time? And so the opposite of this, what a guy truly wants, is he wants to feel absolute devotion from his woman. That she is saying to him and demonstrating through her actions, not just her words, that you are her guy. And she claims the fact that she is your woman. And you can tell by the way that she acts, by the way that she conducts herself, that she is your ride or die, that she has chosen you, and she's not going to let you go. Most guys don't get to feel this way because they feel like their wife has one foot out the door. And in a lot of cases, a lot of women have a backup plan. That's why the whole term monkey branch came along. I'm going to jump on this guy before I let this other one go. And so the woman's got this exit strategy going on in the back of her mind. And for a relationship where it's falling apart and she's manipulating you quite a bit, maybe she shamed you and emasculating you, and you don't feel like you're in charge of this relationship anymore. You feel like everything's about her. I can guarantee you, on the back of her mind, she's got this exit strategy. This is why she texts her ex. It's like the ex is always the first one she goes to, the first guy she cheats on you with, or the coworker. And so for the guy, he doesn't ever feel like his wife is fully devoted to him. There's always this exit strategy. There's always this ulterior motive. There's always this, she's paying too much attention to other men. And really what he wants is he does not want to chase this woman. He wants her to come to him. He wants to feel like she is dialed in with him. He wants to feel that she will protect the relationship at all costs, and she will not allow another guy to flirt with her, or at least she will push him away. Why? Because she wants to protect the relationship. He wants to feel that she is on his side, that she won't take somebody else's side and play devil's advocate against him. He wants to feel that he is a teammate, an actual freaking partner. And so the guy goes from this place where he's chasing after her to wanting to be absolutely having this woman devoted solely to him. And so the third pit they fall into is the incel, which is involuntarily celibate. It is no secret that a lot of guys will pick a lot of different women, but at the end of the day, it's the woman who chooses who she's going to be with. Outside of very beautiful women, you're always going to have resistance in when you want to have sex, who you're going to have sex with, and in one place you're going to have it. Only very beautiful women can have all three of those at the same time. So for all guys, and this includes you, this includes Brad Pitt, this includes George Clooney, or anybody else, there's always going to be some resistance to having sex. He's not going to just be able to have it at any time. And so knowing this, there's this game of, hey, I would like to have some desire for my woman, but I have to feel that I have to do all these things, and I don't feel like I have any agency in when she's turned on. I don't know what's going on with it, and I have a hard time trying to do this. So I end up having to orchestrate situations. Let me have a great date night. Let me rub her back. And oftentimes, you may just be laying into bed, and you just want to put your hand over there and touch her leg to show some sort of interest that you want to have some intimacy. It'll feel like your arm is worth 1,000 pounds, like it weighs 1,000 pounds. You cannot move it over there because you can't stand another rejection. And for a lot of guys who get into a relationship with a woman, they'll marry her, and they're having tons of sex, and she's all over him, and she desires him greatly, but over time, the sex dries up, and he doesn't know why, and he tries to have this conversation with her, she shuts it down. She doesn't want to talk about it. Maybe she doesn't even understand why she's not attracted to him, but a lot of women know exactly why they don't, but they don't want to say anything because they don't want to hurt his feelings. They don't want him to know how bad it really is. And so he feels this. And so he says, why are you not attracted to me? She's like, no, you're very attractive. And he's like, well, I don't feel it. You're not wanting to have sex with me. She's like, I love the hell out of you. And he's like, well, I'm not seeing it. This caused a huge rift in the marriage because she's not being forthcoming as to what's actually going on. And so for a lot of women, they lose attraction for their husband because the husband is not doing the things that keep her attracted. He's not standing in his power. He's not able to demonstrate and do things that are powerful. Often, just something as small as saying no and holding a boundary can make a huge difference. And so from this place, he is always just chasing after her for table scraps of affection. She wants to have sex with him, almost never. He's the one always initiating, and if he gets consolation sex 1 time a month, when she happens to be ovulating, he thinks he's a lucky guy. This is why they say he's getting lucky. But no guy actually wants to be in this place. This is a horrible place to be. It's this place of quiet desperation. And so a guy will push off all other women to be committed to this one, yet this one does not give him the intimacy that he desires, and he's in this place of just being frozen out. And in my opinion, it is abusive for a wife to completely freeze out her husband. She knows exactly what she's doing, and it just wrecks the guy's self-esteem. It wrecks his confidence in who he is. And he can't set the boundary because he's committed to this woman. Like, what's he gonna do, force her? He can't force her to have sex with him, nor does he want to. And so when she gives him this consolation sex, from his perspective, he's like, she's not really into it, and it feels gross. It feels gross. On some level, he feels like he's taking advantage of her, or she's just giving him her body, and he doesn't want her to give her body. He wants her to feel desire for him. He wants to feel that she wants him enthusiastically, that she cannot wait to be with him. And he wants her to initiate it at least two or 3 times a week, or maybe at least half the time, or maybe even just a quarter of the time. Just demonstrate that she desires him on some level, that she's just not making up all the words of what attraction is, and she actually feels this. And this guy, he comes over here and he's in this desert of intimacy, sexuality, and he can't do anything about it. So if he finds out that his woman's cheating on him, this is like an extra slap in the face. It's like, well, I thought you just weren't interested in sex, and then he finds out she wants to be with this other guy, and this just drives him insane. What's this other guy doing that I'm not doing? And then he does not get the full truth. Why? Because she's afraid it'll hurt his feelings, and she's trying to do this game of emotional management with him. And so the guy goes in this place where he's just voluntarily celibate. Most married men are this way. And it doesn't mean that it's an insult. It is a descriptive term for a sexless marriage. It is a descriptive term for a guy who does not get as much access to sex and intimacy from his woman that he would like. And all of the times, there's not going to be a complete match, but at least it should be some sort of crossover for it. And so for what he really wants in his relationship, he wants desire. He wants to feel that she desires him intensely and that she only has eyes for him, again, the devotion. And he wants to have her initiate at some level. Some guys want more than other initiation. Me personally, I prefer when she initiates more often. Why? Because I got a lot of other stuff going on, and I like having intimacy with my wife, but oftentimes I got a lot going on. And so I like to have that initiation come from her. And so for most guys, they get to this place of so much rejection that he doesn't even want to try anymore. And his sexuality plummets to 0. Or he has to cheat on his wife, or he goes to porn or anything else. And so really what the guy wants is not more sex, it's more desire from her. And the fourth thing that guys are dealing with, the fourth pit, is the war. Guys are designed to go out and go to war. They have a job, they start a business, they leave the house and they go make money. They go outside the house and they go and they fight for the family, essentially, for security, for providing, for the cash, or whatever it has to be. He goes out there and he does this. And over time, like in old times, when a man had to hunt or he had to go to war, he'd go out and have this crazy high intensity situation, then he'd come home and then recharge. And then he'd recharge and then go do it again. But when he comes home to a war, because his wife is emotionally dysregulated, she can't regulate herself, or she blames him for all the problems in her life, or she's overwhelmed at home, and so she just lays on him, hey, why aren't you doing this? You can't take a nap. Why aren't you doing more of this? And he's like, well, I've been working all day. I need a couple of minutes to recharge. She's like, you don't get a chance to recharge. I don't get a chance to recharge. I'm with these kids all day. And then she acts as if that is a more important job than what he's doing, ignoring the fact, the delusion that without what he does, none of this even happens. And so there's no appreciation from her on this front at all. And so he comes home to a war, and he doesn't always know what's going to happen. Oftentimes, guys will sit in the driveway for 10, 15 minutes before opening the door because he doesn't want to walk into the war. He doesn't want to walk into this place where he doesn't know what kind of attitude he's going to get from his wife, where he doesn't even get 15 minutes to himself. She doesn't appreciate how hard he works. She doesn't demonstrate that she's devoted to him. She belittles him and emasculates him. And she definitely doesn't show any kind of desire. And so he finds himself in this place where he's living in a desert of affection. And he wonders why he should even be in this relationship. But he's made this commitment, and men tend to be very loyal to this commitment. Not all of them, and those aren't the guys I'm talking to you, the guy who is loyal, the guy who is in this place, the guy who does feel exploited, the guy who does feel like sex is never a priority for her, the guy who feels like she would rather be hanging out with everybody else but you. I'm talking to you. And so you come to this home, to this war, which leads to this war within you. This war within you where you feel guilty for wanting your wife to be different. You feel guilty for even asking for sex because apparently this is a shameful endeavor. You feel guilty for not being as present as you wish you could be in the family. You get guilty for working hard, even though the family needs all this cash. And you feel guilty about a whole lot of things. And this guilt and shame drives your entire psyche into just burning yourself out, and you lose who you are. You don't even know who you are anymore. You become a shell of yourself. And your wife doesn't do anything to try and turn this around with you. And so you find out you're the only guy doing any work. But what you really want is you want fucking peace. You want to just be left alone so you can recharge. And whereas before you have this war at home, what you truly want is you want a woman who drives the drama down, who can empathetically look at you and say, yeah, this guy is working hard. He needs a break. He needs to settle down. And so instead of providing a sanctuary for her husband to come home to where he can recharge, she creates this battleground where she's in competition with him. She creates this battleground where she tries to tell him how much he's failing all the time so that she can artificially prop herself up. And there's no love going on here. It's this contest of who's keeping score. And for most men in this situation, they just feel manipulated. They feel guilted and shamed, and nothing ever works out for them in their marriage. And they're at war, which causes a war within, and everything spins out of control. And then because of this, the wife drives the drama way up. Really what he wants is he wants a woman to drive the drama down, to chill the fuck out, to settle the house, to settle everything so that he can actually recharge. And so what the man truly wants, he wants peace. He wants to be appreciated. He wants to know she's devoted to him, and he wants to feel that she desires him. Now, for you to actually create that is going to take some effort. You're going to have to become the guy who can actually create that. In fact, this is how my marriage is. This is exactly how I live. And it's an amazing experience. It's exactly as awesome as you could imagine it being. The cool thing is the bar isn't super high. It just requires you operating differently in your house. That's why I created Soul Seducer. That's why it's called Soul Seducer. Seduce her soul, seduce your own soul, have an amazing life. And the bar isn't super high, but you do have to apply the principles of the operating system of Soul Seducer to your life. Brother, if you found value in this, hit the subscribe button. If you want to know more about this, obviously, hit the like button. You'll see more of these pop up in your feed. And if you have any interest in Soul Seducer, which if you're watching this, most likely you should be at least checking into it, it's in the description below. Anyways, brother, I love you, and I'll see you in the next video.